then it will start doing some more processing. So I'm going to jump to now to one I prepared earlier, which I believe is this tab here. So this is essentially how a report comes out. It comes out with the logo, with your cover, the details you entered, but then also all the different species you found, with your photos attached as well and what they were. And then also starts listing a load of different facts about how many species you found in total, how many, what species you haven't found yet, and then overall compared to all the projects, how well you're doing with certain species compared to others. Cool. Okay, I will jump back to the PowerPoint. So hopefully you're quite enthusiastic about this. We haven't put anyone off. But you know, we're going to run this for another 4 weeks now. We've got those 2 survey periods that we'd like people to go out. And you know, if you can go out tomorrow morning, if you've got everything ready, and let us know which survey site you want to go to. And we hope that eventually everyone finds loads of crustaceans. They're able to develop their identification skills. And at the end of it, we have a brand new survey method that's both engaging for you and produces this meaningful data. Towards the end of the project, we will be looking for people to fill out feedback surveys, whether or not you just want to suggest that through email, but we'll also make a more of a scientifically rigorous Google form. But also we hope to actually analyze the data you've produced. So look to see if we are picking up these community patterns that we know already exist. So the differences between sheltered opposed to exposed sites. You know, is the data that you've produced able to pick up these patterns? And then hopefully that we can run that as a test to say, okay, yes, we are producing meaningful data with this. With that, I'm going to hand back to Ben, I think, to just talk about the rest of the year.
Cool. Thank you very much, Christophe, and thanks for a great talk. I think, well, obviously I've been involved, so I probably knew some of it already, hopefully, but I think you're explained it all very well.
I'll see how many questions there are.
There are a few, but I think they're just questions out of interest rather than confusion. But if anybody has got any further questions, either send them through on chat, or I'll give you a chance to ask them in a second. I saw that somebody has asked, is this only happening over 4 weeks? And the answer is both yes and no. So the project in terms of developing this method is happening, I guess, yeah, there's only 4 weeks left now. It's going quick, isn't it, Christophe? Yeah. So at the end of the 4 weeks, we will have a look at the data that's been collected, and we will make a decision. And the decision that remains to be made is how long should these surveys be for. So after that point, all of the surveys, the only option you'll have is a certain period of time. So if we find that 30 minutes is sufficient for collecting the quality of data that we're looking for, then that's what it will be. We won't ask people to go on any longer than that, but we'll have to analyse the data and decide that. After that point, then the survey method will be available, and we'll be still here to support people, and that's the whole idea, is that we go on to collect data into the future, and that will allow us to analyse how these crustacean communities are changing over time for certain sites, and as we're starting to get data from further and further afield, it'll also look at how the communities change from place to place, and hopefully by surveying such a broad and diverse community, that will also tell us a little bit about what's going on across the entire ecosystem. So that's what we're looking to do over the summer. Once the method's developed, is push on and collect loads more data and just see what we find, basically, really. We are also looking to develop an online data explorer. So Eleanor, who I mentioned, helping out with the IT stuff of developing new sites. She's her main job is to develop the members dashboard, is going to be called, and that's just another way for you to explore what you've found and what the project's found, and hopefully have a look back at some of the images that you found, map where you've been and that kind of thing. So so that's what another thing that we're working on over the summer. And once again, exactly the same as with this project, we are looking to develop this with the community. So what we don't want is to have everything shiny and new and just tell people this is what it is and out there go for it. We want to make use of people's feedback, and there's so many people out there who have incredible expertise in both species ID and in other aspects of running the project. So we're looking to expand on that. Okay, enough of me prattling on. I shall get through some of the questions. You still there, Christophe?
Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. Just switching back to my screen.
It was enough to confuse me. Sorry about that. There's the chat. Where's my chat gone?
Someone's asked, are we just looking for one photo per species?
Matt asked that earlier, so yeah, if you could just make that clear to everyone, please.
Yeah. So for each survey you do, you only need one photo. If you find the species, you take a photo of it. You only need to upload one. But you know, don't be afraid of taking multiple photos and then just choosing whichever is the best one out of those. But for each survey, you only need to record one photo or one log of "I saw this species."
Okay, we've got a question from Joe Wakeham, who asks, can you please clarify the survey methodology and the rationale for starting at the high tide mark?
So the main reason for starting the high tide mark was that as we're doing varying different lengths, if we start someone at low tide and they're surveying for 30 minutes, as the tide goes out behind them, they might not necessarily search that area, opposed to someone who's searching for 60 minutes. So in order to keep it so people are working downwards towards the shore, that they then produce the maximum amount of tide that they can survey.
And I think the more sort of broader part of the question, asking about clarification of the survey methodology, if you get the chance to have a look at the document that Christophe's put online, which gives the survey methods instructions, it's got even more detail than Christophe just went through. So hopefully that will answer questions, but if not, then do get in touch. Sorry, next question. Purdy, I live in Scotland. Are you aiming to partner and expand, or is this data you're looking for specific to the Southwest?
No, we're looking to have as many people from across the UK as possible. You will definitely be our first foray in Scotland. Our map of sites will definitely expand greatly. But no, you know, the more people, the merrier, with as a diverse amount of sites as possible. With one survey site in Scotland, we might not be able to do these latitudinal studies of looking at differences, but hopefully, you know, that would be our first foray, and we could expand the survey sites from there.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is to be wary of our sort of capacity as an organisation. We are not for profit, and like a lot of organisations, we've been hit pretty bad by the current pandemic situation. So we will do our best to accommodate as many people as we can. If anybody is interested in volunteering with us, and in particular coordinating surveys in their local area, then that would be absolutely brilliant. So if anybody up in Scotland is keen in that respect, that would make it a lot more easy to actually expand into new areas. Okay, next question is from Claire. I haven't read it yet, so I'll read it as I go. Could you please give me a little idea of how thorough we need to be when rock pooling? For example, in a 1-hour survey, should we be covering a large area or spending a long time in a few small pools? Thank you.
So you want to survey as much of the specific survey area as you can in that time period. So don't spend 30 minutes in the first rock pool you found, but also, you know, don't whiz your way as much as you possibly can. You want to try and find as many different species as you can, looking in a diverse number of places as you can in your allocated time. If that's.
Thank you. So the next question we've already covered. Sarah Fox has asked, do you want us to go out during both weeks?
Yes, yeah, you can more than once in either of the weeks. You know, the more surveys you do, the better. We will have to take into account multiple people doing the same survey at the same site when we look to see how effective this data was. But you know, please don't think we want you to only do one survey. We want you to do as many as you can that makes you as happy as you can.
Cool. Is there an email? Sorry, this is from Emily. Is there an email we can use to contact you, or is it the one on your website?
So info at the Rockpool Project. Rockpoolproject.co will get to someone. If you want to ask something specific to this, you can email me. I'm cpatterson at the rockpoolproject.co.uk. But perhaps if you put both of those email addresses in there, so it will definitely get to someone, and we will be able to get back to you fairly quickly.
Okay. Well, thank you for your kind comments, Joe and Purdy and Claire. Martin Noble has asked, are you just after presence absence of species rather than abundance? Sorry, other people write the stuff as I'm reading it, so it's disappearing. Rather than abundance for this survey trial period.
In this trial period, we were thinking about doing abundance, but we've sort of focused. We've narrowed that down to now being presence and absence. If enough people, you know, feedback and say, you know, no, we really want to do abundance, then you know that's something we can think about. But it's another variable to take into account of, that someone's idea of what abundance is might be, you know, very different from other people's. You know, saying some person might guess there's 100 of one species, but someone might guess there's 1,000 if they visit the same site. Whereas presence and absence is very clear. You know, that the same two different people will come to the same conclusion with the same survey site. So to answer the question, for this trial period, yes, we're only looking at presence and absence.
Yeah, but the abundance is an interesting situation on the Rocky Shore, I always find as well. Just based on the analysis that I've done, like our interest is on analysing the whole community. So if you're interested in looking at the abundance of particular species, then that's pretty straightforward. But even if you could accurately quantify the abundance of all the crustaceans within a Rocky Shore site, you would find it, I would guess, dominated by the numbers of individuals such as barnacles and a lot of the smaller crustaceans which you get by. Whether that would be a true representation of what you wanted when you're surveying these sites, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But we do have an idea of how to add abundance into these survey methods, and we'll definitely be trying that out at some point in the future. Sophie, do you prefer us to use tides for fishing? As I use Met-Office, and that comes up with very different tide height. 1.8 Met-Office versus 1.8 the tides for fishing. That is a very different tide height.
So this might be a technical question for you, but I've always used tide times for fishing because it gives you a much broader time span into the future for planning for rock pooling. I guess if it's you know, the way tides are calculated can be a bit complicated, especially if you're in a cove or in a, you know, certain geographical areas. The way the water flows around the English Channel can be quite complicated. So it's worth looking in for. Perhaps we do need to come up with a specific, so when people enter in their data, we have a specific guideline on saying use the tide height from tide times for fishing, or use for Met-Office. But hopefully for most cases they should be more or less the same. But perhaps we'll talk about that afterwards, Ben.
Yeah.